Strict carnivore. The reward is worth it. Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name's Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So I'm going to talk today about strict carnivore. So I've been a strict carnivore for 3.5 years. I was doing carnivore intermittently for a few years before that, and zero carb for a few years before that intermittently. Now, I learned early on when I first tried going zero carb, being 100% strict, I mean 100%. Like I always say, not a lick, taste, or bite of anything off a carnivore diet. It's worth it. I noticed a dramatic difference within a few days. And the one thing I've always noticed whenever I went on it and off it and on it and off it and eventually became strict was the same thing repeatedly. Within the first few days, I noticed a dramatic difference in how I physically felt. Within a couple of weeks, I noticed my blood pressure getting better, my heart rate getting better. My blood pressure was never really out of control. It was normal in sometimes a high normal range, but it was always in the normal range. It lowered to usually about 128/80. And that's where it usually stayed when I was doing strict zero carb or carnivore. Just week after week, I would notice a dramatic difference in the quality of life that I had. Everything from walking up and down stairs to literally getting up after sitting in a chair for an hour or lying on the couch for an hour or getting up in the mornings. It was the difference between how I used to get up in my 20s to how I got up and at the time, it was my late 30s. And I noticed a dramatic difference. Now, I was 465 pounds. I always blame that on my weight, moving slow, big guy stuff. In the mornings, I'd have to go down my steps, one step at a time for the first 4 steps or so. And then eventually I would be able to go, just a regular walk, but it was slow. I had a hand on the railing, hand on the wall. And I just noticed whenever I did carnivore within a few days, I could just run down those steps and back up those steps, no problem. First thing in the day. There was no standing up in the morning and going, and just kind of letting my body adjust to its new position after lying down for hours straight. That was gone. And it's still gone. Being strict carnivore is worth it. Now, here's the thing. For me, strict is this. Not a lick, taste, or bite of anything off a carnivore diet. So I still see in lots of carnivore Facebook groups, it's not like I check them out very often, but I still see people saying, am I allowed to have any fruit on this diet? And in the comment section, you see a lot of people who say, yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. And that really bothers me, not because I think everyone needs to be strict, not because I'm being dogmatic. I feel if you're saying you're doing something, you need to do that something. You can't do a version of that something all the time. I guess it depends in life. So for some people who say, yeah, you can do those things, to me, it's like saying, can I be a vegan and still have meat once a week or twice a week or once a day? No, well, you're not a vegan then. Call it for what it is. I don't care what you do. I don't care how strict you are. I think you should be as comfortably strict as you feel you should be to get the benefits that you want on a carnivore diet. It's just expected for me. That's how I feel the best. It's not something I want to tamper with because I deal with a sugar and carbohydrate addiction. So because of that, I don't risk going off this way of eating at all, because I've been down that road. That's why I was on and off a carnivore diet for a long time. And for me, the benefits of doing a carnivore diet, even before the weight loss, I lost 165 pounds and hit this plateau, and I still have about 80 to go or so. But for me, the benefits I feel are great. I just watched a video from Kelly Hogan, and I forgot this piece of information. She plateaued for 2 years during her first zero carb experience. She lost a lot of weight, a tremendous amount of weight, something like 100 pounds, and she still knew she had another 20 to go. And she plateaued for 2 years at that weight. Well, it's been 2.5 years for me, and I hope to have that same success story eventually. And I really honestly think I will, because I've seen this work for all these other health conditions I've had, and it's just a matter of time till the body does enough healing. And because I'm seeing the right doctors, I'm hoping that we can kind of figure out exactly what it is that's causing this high fasting insulin that's preventing me from still losing more weight and also correcting the rest of my health issues. I don't have many health issues left, but the couple that are there can be pretty serious, of course, with heart disease. I think it's important for you to define a couple different things if you want to be strict carnivore. I think lots of you out there have gotten there and maybe lost it. Lots of you have gotten there and kept it. And some of you have never been able to keep it up for more than maybe a couple days and maybe a couple weeks. And then you always kind of fall off the wagon, or you just have a rough time being that strict. Now, first of all, you have to define what strict is for you. For me, it's nothing but meat and fat, some seasonings, and that's it. That's my entire way of eating. 3.5 years, and I feel great doing that. I wish I could tell my 20-year-old self, there's lots of woulda, coulda, shouldas in life, and I don't kind of lean on any of those too much and dwell on those in life, but I do wish I could have turned around and taught my younger self that one lesson. It's one of the best things I've done in my life. I think it's something that's benefited me in a tremendous amount of ways and is still in the process of offering more benefits for me in life. When you have that ability to do something and do it right and do it for a long time, it becomes a part of your personality, it becomes a part of your identity. It's something that you can be proud of over a while. I don't care if it's not taking a sick day off work for X amount of years, or it's being the best parent you can be, or having the best lifestyle or activity level you can have. Or for me, because it's been a huge issue with me for most of my life, it's having a clean diet. It's offered the tremendous amount of health benefits, both in my blood work, in most areas of my life, as well as in the way I feel day to day, as well as managing my sugar and carbohydrate addiction. So food doesn't rule me anymore. I'm never thinking about my next fix. I'm never thinking about what I'm going to do for lunch or what I'm going to do for dinner. Am I going to have a tub of ice cream, or am I going to go get a pizza? Maybe I'll do both. I was always thinking that way all day long, every day. When I got my groceries, even if I got my groceries and I did a really good job with my grocery list and keeping it clean, I was still cheating with things like Tim Hortons, or just having donuts or cake or ice cream or pies, whatever it is. I had my cycle I was on when it came to bad and addictive food. And so for me, that's the number one benefit I have, and the number one reason why I stick with carnivore. The second is the health benefits. Along with that was the weight loss. That's like the distant side effect. That's the result of your body getting better and healing. I always call it a side effect to the fact that your body's healing. Now, after that, it's the quality of life. And that's a close second, because that's my day-to-day life I'm thinking about. Everything from going up a flight of stairs to walking or going for a run or anything like that, any exercise. I feel better in general that I can actually do those things and not have it exhaust me. Now, I'm not talking about exhausting me from getting winded so much as exhausting me because I physically can't do it and it's bothering my joints and it's making me feel really tired afterwards from just doing a little bit of activity. So when your energy levels are balanced and through the roof, you can balance those things better in life. And that means more time for your family if you're engaged with having a really close family. So if it's something, maybe it's your work and you need to work a little bit more, having the energy to balance those things. You have to find out what benefits you have in life that you will get from doing a strict carnivore diet, but you might have to do it for a while before you can really stop and iron those things out in your thought process and figure out what it was that really made it beneficial for you. As I was getting at earlier, you don't have to be strict. For me, strict is what works. For you, strict might be what works for you. Maybe you haven't tried it before. Maybe you're going to think, well, maybe, if I'm going to do it, if you're going to do it for a good 6 months. People say 1 month. Just to give it a shot. Now, that's just enough time to get over any of the side effects you might have in the beginning of, say, diarrhea, as your body's flushing water and you're not keeping yourselves hydrated anymore with the carbohydrates. So it takes maybe 2 or 3 weeks sometimes for people to get over that. And then they only get a few days of the benefits. Well, the problem is you have to go a few months to get rid of the habit of carbohydrates and sugar. So even though you'll get rid of the physical withdrawals within the first maybe couple weeks or so, you might have to go a few months before you get rid of those habits. And if you want to ever consider doing this long term, depending on how serious your addiction was, you may have to do it between 3 to 6 months to get rid of that voice in the back of your head that looks at that pizza on the counter or the barbecue that you're at and you're thinking, maybe I could. Well, what's one little bite? Or maybe it's going to be that beer at the barbecue or something like that that's tempting you. It doesn't always have to be food that tempts you, but you want to get to that point where you just don't have any of that temptation. It's a wonderful place to be. And for me, that's the best reason why being strict carnivore is worth all the work you have to put into it. So what are some of the reasons why you prefer carnivore or even strict carnivore? Well, leave a comment. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot and take care.